Hey folks, Denethar here. I had some video recording issues with the podcast episode this week. The audio came across just fine, but the video was completely useless. So I unfortunately had to scrap all of that. And so I had to throw together a little graphic for you guys to put up on screen. I guess I could have just put up the logo, but well, anyway. Enjoy, and hopefully we'll get the video equipment working for next week. If not, I guess we'll figure something else out. All right, take care.
Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. It's Saturday night in Azeroth, and we have a great show lined up for you. We're going to be talking about the patch 11.2 storyline and some of the implications for that going forward. We've played through it on the PTR, and I'll tell you, it's something. But really we'll get into it. And aside from that, we've got a bunch of WoW news. We've got a lot of Miss Pandaria Classic news that we want to go over. Some other things that are showing up in the 11.2 PTR. And the big announcement that's coming up at Gamescom. We'll talk about that too. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Yeah, it's been a good week for me. I did a lot of WoW. I did a lot of Classic. I did a lot of The War Within. So, yeah, I mentioned this last week, but I thought, I'm going to level up my other characters in Cataclysm so that I can play them in Miss Pandaria Classic and have them ready to go. And I started playing, and I was just like, I don't care. So, yeah, no Miss Pandaria Classic. I mean, I have my Paladin. My Paladin is level 85, so I'll be able to level him up when the servers come up on the 21st of July, but I don't know that I'll have anyone else at max level. And that's okay. I could just have one alt and just kind of dabble around. And it's a prop Paladin, so that'll make things really easy to do stuff. Anyway, yeah, no Miss Pandaria Classic for me, and no Cataclysm Classic right now. I don't have the energy for it. On the anniversary servers, so we're trying to get Blackwing Lair and Molten Core down in one night, which is tough because, some of the trash still takes a little bit of time to set up, and some of the bosses are not automatic. You got to think through it. And so it does take us a little bit more time. We're not quite as fast as we want to be, but we're getting there. We did Blackwing Lair plus 7 out of 10 Molten Core. So we killed Golmag. And so we still have Shazra, no, not Shazra, Sulfuron Harbinger, and then, gosh, I can't even think of it, Major Domo Executus, and then Ragnaros. So we did all that on Tuesday night, and then on Wednesday night we cleared Onyxia, and then we went Moncor, cleared the last 3, and then we did, we broke into the group, or we everybody left the raid group, and then we broke into a smaller group to go do the calling in Silithus. And if you're not familiar with that one, it's the quest. There's a whole quest chain you have to do for the dwarves down in Silithus, all the way at the southern end. Starts with Dearest Natalia and goes from there. But anyway, the culmination of the raid is you have to kill the mini raid boss. It takes about 20 people. I think we had 27 or something, so we smoked it. And then you get a pair of nice nature resist pants as a reward, which is really cool. The thing that I found interesting about this is that, so I went and did the pre-quests by myself because I was like, I'm going to be ready for this. I'm going to have it ready to go. And, man, it took me forever to do those quests. It was a lot of work. I had to be very careful. I had to use a lot of feigned death, sneaking around the little catacombs there in Silithus. It was hard. It was a challenge. And, we broke up into groups, and I think we had 3 groups of people going to do the pre-quest because you have to do it in groups. You can't do it in a raid. And, they just tore through it. And I was like, I should have just waited. I shouldn't have gone in early. I should have just waited and done it with everybody else. But I don't know if I was trying to be good, if I was trying to show off, or what the deal was. But I did it early, and I didn't need to. But I got my pants, which is nice. And And the other thing that I've been doing in Classic is, so every time I've done Classic, including Vanilla, when I did the original Vanilla, I had quests all over the place that I hadn't done. And it drove me crazy because it was like, man, I really need to do this quest, but nobody wants to go do it, so I can't do it. And so now that I kind of have a better idea of how to play, and I'm on a class that can solo a lot of quests on a hunter, I started just doing some of these quests, and it's not bad. Going through and knocking out like the Eastern Plaguelands quests are really fun to do. The story, the Defenders of Darrowshire and all that. So, it's not a bad way to make money either. Honestly, if you're playing Classic, you know that money is like the economy is like the main thing that you need to build up some money, especially knowing in advance that we're going to Burning Crusade, and you're going to need that flying mount money. So I've got about, I don't know, 800 gold that I've built up. So I mean, and I have my epic mount, so it's not bad. I just need to go do more quests. I need to find a good farming spot. Some people were saying, "Oh, go farm Devil Sword Leather." Yeah, I could do that. It's boring though. I hate farming Devil Sword Leather. I just that's a lot of work that I don't really need to do. So, yeah. So that's basically it for me for Classic. In the War Within. So last week I resurrected my Death Knight, brought him back, Denethar, and started doing stuff on him again. Started doing the overcharged delves, which was a little weird. So I hadn't really interacted with delves a whole lot this season. I did the new one in Undermine on my Demon Hunter. I did a bunch of stuff, but then I quit for 2 months or 3 months or whatever it was. And so now trying to go back and redo all these delves, it feels different. The delves actually feel a lot better than they did in Season 1. I feel like Blizzard has done a pretty good job of kind of cleaning up the rough edges and making it something that is actually fun and enjoyable. Like I could see myself just doing delves and being happy with that. They do take a little bit longer than maybe was originally sold to us. Like, oh, it's a 10, 15-minute adventure. It's like, it's more like a 25-minute adventure. But that's okay. It's still pretty quick. I don't have to wait for a group. I don't have to get invited. I don't have to do my keystone. It's just, here's your delve, go. So, yeah, that's not bad. And so, yeah, I've been enjoying delves. I just got my belt because I didn't know what I was doing. So I just got the belts the other day. And so now I've got to work on getting that upgraded. So that's the new disc belts that you're getting. It's a durable inner. I forget what it stands for. DISC is the acronym. But it's a 691 belt that you can upgrade to like 703 or something by the end of the season. So that'll be cool. And then the other thing is, of course, the Turbulent Timeways events and time walking. So Battle for Azeroth time walking stinks. I just got to say it. Like, it's not that fun. It's hard. And not hard because, oh my gosh, time walking is so hard. I don't know those dungeons. And so you go in there and you're like, well, I don't know what we're doing. And like I did Temple of Sethralus and I think I mentioned this last week. And it was so confusing and I got frustrated. So this week is Miss Pandaria Classic, which is super easy. So those you can just steamroll through. I've done those many times and they're fast. The Miss Pandaria ones are really fast. The only one that takes a while is the, there's the one where you have to fight Terran Zoo at the end. But, yeah, aside from that, I haven't really done a whole lot in retail. I started doing lore walking, and here's the problem with lore walking. I realized it very quickly. If you do it on an alt that's not max level, it's really fun because you're getting a lot of XP, and it's a quick way to level. It's fun, and you can go through the story. Once I got to 80 on my hunter in retail, it was difficult because now I have to go get gear. And then come back and finish doing lore walking. So I'm basically stuck in the middle of the Ethereal's lore walking campaign because my hunter has terrible gear for level 80. She had really good gear for level 70 because that's where she started. But now that she's level 80, it's like, oh, yeah, you can't do anything now. So it sucks. I really hate the gear scaling in modern WoW. It's been the last few expansions where it's like this, where you get to max level and suddenly there's this massive jump of item level in gear and you can't do anything until you go get some gear. So you got to go do world quests. Maybe like I could go do some delves and things like that. And we're at the end of the season. I don't really want to gear up a character just to not play her in season 3. So I don't know. It's a little frustrating. So I might pick an alt or maybe even start a new character and just go through all the lore walking campaigns, start at level 10 and just go through everything one by one. That might be more fun because then I could just relax and enjoy it, not have to worry about, oh my gosh, I'm going to out level this, or my level is going to get too high and then my gear is not going to scale well enough and then it's going to be too hard for me to do anything. So, yeah, and that's unfortunate. And there was actually a Bellular video where he touched on this. He had one of his guys make a brand new account, no heirlooms, no nothing, and just go through and it was hard because when you get to max level or near max level, the scaling is so off. It's so whacked. I at least had on my hunter, at least had good Dragonflight gear from season 4. I had done a bunch of stuff, so that was good. But other than that, it's like, how are you supposed to get gear? There's no quick catch-up mechanism. There's no, here's your baseline gear. I feel like Blizzard should give crafting the ability to make some baseline gear that is good enough for your character in the current season. Right now, if I made baseline gear, it's going to be the War Within Season 1 gear. And what's the point of that? So I don't know. I think it's something Blizzard definitely needs to look at, but I don't know that they're going to. So anyway, yeah, and that's about it. That's what I got up to last week. It was it's still really hot here, so I'm still really struggling with everything. So weather-wise, but yeah, that's there we go. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I got up to last week in WoW. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. In other news, I was prodded finally by my wife to make a doctor's appointment because I have not gone to the doctor in several years. I basically haven't gone to the doctor since COVID. And so, yeah, it's been a minute. And so I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, hey, you drink too much, you eat too much, and you don't exercise enough, so you need to change those things. I was like, oh, thanks, doc. Good job. So, yeah, I've got to start watching my diet and cutting back on the booze. So I guess, whatever. That's fine. I will do that for health, for Azeroth. But yeah, that's kind of funny because he was just like no nonsense. He even tapped my stomach. He's like, "Hey, you gotta work on this." So yeah, there you go. All right, I think that's about enough of that. We do have a bunch of news, and then I want to get into the lore discussion for patch 11.2. Heads up, if you are listening to the podcast and you have not seen any of the lore reveals for patch 11.2 and you don't want to know them until you've actually played through it on live servers yourself, I will give you some spoiler warnings when we get to that point in the show, because I don't want to trample on anyone's spoilers, but I will be doing a lot of spoiler discussion in that segment. So just a heads up, if you really don't want to hear anything spoilery about 11.2, you can listen to the news and then you can bounce, and I will not fault you for that. But 11.2 spoilers will be aplenty in the main topic segment. So just a heads up. All right, let's get into the news.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so the big news right off the bat is that Blizzard has announced that there will be a midnight announcement at Gamescom 2025. Gamescom 2025. Gamescom is a big gaming event that takes place in Germany. It's like the big European gamer event. That's where they announced Legion expansion back in, was that 2015? So pretty exciting stuff there. We already know that Midnight is going to be the expansion. What they're going to do is they're going to give us details about it, which we don't already have. So World of Warcraft will be at Gamescom 2025. Join us for 5 days of nonstop community celebration. Get ready for a Mythic Dungeon and Arena showcase, cosplay showcase, developer and creator meet and greets, and much more. During the show, you'll get exclusive news and updates on the next chapter of the World of Warcraft World Soul Saga, Midnight, directly from the development team, along with a few additional surprises we have in store. So this is going to be, it's August 20th through the 24th. It's in Cologne, Germany. And yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to Germany, so I'll be watching on YouTube like everyone else. But very exciting stuff. We are going to get the information. So this was actually on the roadmap. If you recall, we had the roadmap that Blizzard gave us at the beginning of the year that they've been giving us for the last 3 years. So we had the roadmap, and there was actually a midnight reveal on there. And so that's what this is. And everybody pretty much speculated it was going to be at Gamescom. So no big surprise there. But it's nice to know that that we're going to get that information about midnight. So yeah, obviously when that happens, there's going to be a lot of speculation. I will actually be out of town during that entire event. I'm leaving, so I'm going to the East Coast. I'm going to go to the beach, and I will be leaving for home on the 24th of August. So I will probably either miss the reveal or I'll have to watch it on my laptop, and then I won't really be able to talk about it until I get home and kind of get settled back in. But that's okay. We'll get it set, and we'll have a good time with discussing what's coming up in World of Warcraft. So there you go. All right, let's move on to the Classic discussion. So Mists of Pandaria Classic, obviously about to launch. That's coming out. The pre-patch is coming on July 1st, which is Tuesday. So yeah, there's a lot of things, and I talked about this previously. Blizzard is making a lot of changes for Mists of Pandaria Classic, and when I say changes, I mean actual changes. They're making balance changes, they're making currency changes, they're basically changing the way the game works. They're using the core of the game, and they're trying to make it better. Now, I'm watching this happen with Mists of Pandaria, an expansion that a lot of people consider to be really good, and obviously rose-tinted goggles are a thing. And Mists of Pandaria had its flaws, and Blizzard is trying to clean up those flaws because they don't want them laid bare in front of everybody. Oh my gosh, I forgot how bad the currency was. Oh, I forgot how bad the balance was in this particular patch or whatever. So they're cleaning things up. They're making changes. They're going through and they're making sure that things work, for lack of a better term. I mean, it worked before, obviously, but I was there and I remember there was obviously some issues. So that's coming. And then the other thing that is really interesting is that they're not releasing all the raids at once. So we're going to start with Mogushan Vaults on July 31st, and then no word on when Heart of Fear or the Terrace of Endless Springs will launch. But yeah, that's kind of interesting that Mogushan Vaults will be the only raid that launches and it won't even be there at launch. You have 10 days to level up to 90 before you can go do Mogushan Vaults. As far as the currency changes go, basically what they're doing is they're going to give you that progressive cap so that every week you can earn, here's your max, just like they have in the War Within right now with the crests. It's going to be the same type of thing. That way you don't feel like you're going to miss out if you don't do for the week. And then you can use that to buy your gear or whatever. So yeah, that's basically it. Not a big deal there. And like I said, they're making all these changes. I'm not planning on playing Mists of Pandaria Classic, so I don't want to get into all the details of all the changes and exactly what they're doing, but suffice it to say, they're really trying to make sure that things are accessible to people, and because this is really going to make or break Classic. If this doesn't work out, it's going to signal the end of Classic, and then we never get Legion Classic. So Blizzard obviously doesn't want that. A couple of the other things that they're doing, they are putting in some change or making some changes to the pre-poll. So I don't know if you were around during Mists of Pandaria, you know that the pre-poll period was a big deal. You had to take your potions a certain length of time before you started the poll. You had to do certain things in a certain way before you started the poll so that you could get your buffs and then go in and then use your potions again. So I think Mists of Pandaria was when they changed it. So instead of having a potion cooldown it was a combat cooldown for potions, and they increased it to 5 minutes. So what you would do is you would use a potion before combat, start combat, and as soon as that potion wore off, you take another potion and then start your 5-minute cooldown. It's just the way it worked. And so I guess they're trying to mess with that a little bit so that there's not this big steep learning curve. They're trying to make it more accessible to more people, which I understand. So yeah, Mists of Pandaria Classic the pre-patch will be on servers on July 1st, Tuesday. The actual launch of Mists of Pandaria Classic will be on the 21st of July. So, it's we're going to have some time. We'll have 3 weeks of the pre-patch, and then Monday, the 21st, it's going to be a global launch. I'm assuming it's going to be 3 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I don't have that in front of me, but that's usually when they do it. So, yeah. There you go. If you are excited for Miss Pandaria Classic, please let me know, because I've been trying to get somebody to come on the show to talk about MOP Classic and kind of what it means to them and that sort of thing. So if you are listening to this and you're like, oh, I can't wait, I'm so excited for MOP Classic, let me know in the next week or two so that we can get some time, and we'll get on a Discord call and we'll discuss Miss Pandaria Classic. So that'd be pretty cool. So, all right. Let's move on to Modern WoW. So we've got a couple of things that are coming in patch 11.2, which are really cool. So we've got the Delve storylines are going to show up on your world map in patch 11.2. So if you know right now when you're doing Delves, you're going to get a certain storyline when you go into a Delve. So one day you'll do a Delve and it's going to be one storyline, and then you'll go in the next day and it'll be a completely different storyline. And there's 3 or 4 storylines for each Delve. So it's kind of a question mark, like, well, which one am I going to get? But this now it will show up on the mini map or on the world map which Delve storyline is going to be available. So that's really nice. You don't have to go over there and go, oh, it's this one. I hate this one. You'll just know. And then so it's just these little quality of life changes that Blizzard constantly makes to the War Within that I think make the game really fun. As burnt out as I was at the beginning of Season 2, I have to admit that the War Within, it's still a really well done expansion. This is probably one of the best expansions I've ever done. I'm just not thrilled with the way that they did Mythic Plus, but that's me and my play style. It doesn't affect the majority of people. In fact, Mythic Plus is probably more popular now than it was before, at least for the higher end players. So, other thing that's coming in patch 11.2 that I'm really excited about is that players can reduce their allies' spell visuals. So if you go into a raid, you go into a dungeon even, and everybody's doing all their AoE and all of their spells, and there's all these big effects going on, and sometimes it's hard to see what's going on. Sometimes it causes your computer to slow down. You're going to be able to adjust that and say, okay, turn my allies down. I just want to see what's going on with me and the boss. Or the mobs or whatever. So that's really cool. Again, these little quality of life changes, it's not a big deal to just put in a little slider and say, hey, I want more spell visuals. I want way less spell visuals, whatever. That's pretty cool. All right. This is the big event that's coming in the month of July. So it's starting on Tuesday. This is the Greedy Emissary event. I talked about this last week. So basically, you're going to go around. There's going to be Stormwind, Orgrimmar, Dornogal, and in the Undermine. And basically what's going to happen is you're going to get these portals that are going to spawn. You're going to kill the treasure goblins that come out. You're going to get currency, and you're going to be able to buy things. There's so if you have a Tyrael's Charger from back in the day, and I think that the last time that this event happened, you could get Tyrael's Charger again. Now you're going to be able to get Inarius's Charger. So it's like a recolor of the Tyrael's Charger. It's the same mount, it's just it's a different color scheme. So basically the portals are going to spawn every hour. And there will be an icon on the map if you're in Stormwind, Orgrimmar, or Dornogal. And it'll show you where it's going to be. So you just run over there, you kill the goblins, you get your currency. Pretty straightforward. There's also going to be portals in the Undermine, but that's going to work a little bit differently. Basically, you have to kill the rares, and they'll have a chance of spawning a portal. So it's just trying to encourage people to get around in the world, and I get that. So, and then you're also going to be able to take different... you'll be able to get elixirs from loot, and then you'll be able to use those elixirs to kind of spawn different treasure goblin affixes that are going to increase your amount of loot. It's still really unclear. We're going to have to see how it works. I was hoping Blizzard would give us a little bit more information, but they did not give us a ton more. So basically starting on Tuesday, we're going to be able to get a better idea for this. If this is something you're interested in. I mean, a lot of people really don't care. The other thing you're going to be able to get is the recolors of the tier 2 HD upscales that they did for the 20th anniversary event. So these are going to be just slight recolors of those sets that you'll be able to buy with the currency as well. So it's pretty cool. I mean, and they look good. I mean, those sets looked great. So very excited about that event. I don't know how much I'm going to participate in it. I might get a couple of those tier sets and then bounce. We'll see. It depends on how good of a time I'm having. So The big thing that's coming with this event, and this is what a lot of people have been talking about, is that legendary weapons and mounts from pre-Dragonflight raids and dungeons are going to have up to 10 times increased drop rate during this event. So this is going to go from July 1st to July 29th. This is all pre-Dragonflight legacy mounts from legacy dungeons and raids are going to be on this increased drop rate. We don't have an actual list, so we don't know for sure. But we're assuming that it's going to be most, Invincible, the Phoenix from Kael'thas, stuff like that. And then some legendaries. So you got like the Eye of Sulfuras from Molten Core, the Bindings of the Windseeker from Molten Core for the Thunder Fury, the Warglaives of Azeroth from Black Temple, Thordal the Star Fury from Sunwell Plateau. This is pretty exciting. If you want any of those things for transmog, this would be a really great time to go grind that on your alts. And don't forget, since things are warbound now, you'll be able to share them. So if you get an item, you're still going to get credit for it on an alt. However, if you get something like the Eye of Sulfuras, that's something you have to craft. And so you might not necessarily be able to, if you get that on your mage, you might not be able to necessarily get it on your warrior or your shaman or something. So not sure exactly how that's going to work because I haven't really done any farming since the War Within started. But the Warglaives is one of the big ones because I know a lot of Demon Hunters would love to rock those bad boys, including myself. So I will be doing Black Temple every week. So that'll be fun. It says the event will also double your chance for transmog drops and legacy content. This means you'll see twice as many drops in general while doing dungeons and raids that have legacy loot enabled, which is pre-Dragonflight currently. So, some exclusions do apply. For instance, all time walking content is excluded. So if you're doing the Black Temple time walking, that's not going to count the same way as just going and doing Black Temple yourself. No pets and toys are going to be increased drop rate. This is just for loot and mounts, gear, transmog gear and mounts. So, this one's really exciting. I'm going to be doing, so I've already thought about this a lot. And obviously, I'll be doing Ice Crown, trying to get Invincible. As much as I say I'm not a mount collector, that one's so iconic, you got to have it. There's, if you're not familiar with it, there's a website called Simple Armory, and it will show you per expansion what mounts you have in your collection and what mounts you don't have. So that's a really good way to go and kind of plan out what you want to go farm. The transmog drops are going to be huge. I'm really excited about that because for me, going and like I put together complete sets because I'm bad at matching things up. I'm partially colorblind, and so I have a hard time going, does this look good with that? And my wife will sometimes come in and be like, what are you wearing? Like, what is your character wearing? So I put together complete sets. But sometimes it's nice to have just those random pieces because if you can manage to put something together and you're missing a belt or shoulders, it just doesn't look right, and you get that transmog drop and it puts it all together, oh, it's the best. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this event. Gonna plan it out and have myself some fun with transmog. So there you go. I'm hoping that this is like a regular thing. Like this isn't just a one-time or two-time deal because we did this back in 2023. But if we could do this every year or so, that would be pretty awesome because really we all know that transmog is the real end game for WoW. So, all right, let's move on to the final thing, which is the July 2025 trading post. So Blizzard has already put out the information for that. We're going to be getting some, I guess, undead themed items in the trading post. So there's the unarmored Death Tusk Fellbore mount, the Wailing Banshee's Charger, both of which look pretty cool. There's some undead-ish themed transmog. You can get the Dark General's Quiver. I mean, there's a few things that look like they are more undead themed. Lots of greens and purples, lots of death themed transmog. So if that's your vibe, if that's your aesthetic, it's really cool. That's not necessarily mine, although I might get a couple of these things for my Death Knight, like this sword, the Forsaken Grotesque Great Blade. But I mean, the transmog the trading post has been kind of weird lately, where you go, well, I don't know, this is really what I want. This one looks okay. There's a couple of good things. There is one thing that I found kind of weird, and somebody pointed this out on Twitter. So there's a wand, and the wand, when you use the wand to shoot with your wand, it shoots skulls instead of a beam of whatever. And somebody was like, well, who's using their wand to shoot? You just have it equipped, and it's basically a stat stick while you cast your spells. So why would you go through all the effort to make a wand that shoots skulls when no one's ever going to use it? Which I thought was kind of interesting. But I mean, it's really cool. So maybe you just use it for fun. I don't know. It's the Forsaken Grotesque wand. So, I mean, I don't know. It's sometimes Blizzard does things and you go, why? And then it's like, well, it's for fun, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, the gear in this looks really good. It looks really exciting, especially if you have more of an undead themed aesthetic. So I'll definitely be picking up like some of these mounts, these chargers. They look so good. I'll definitely be picking those up. So it looks like there's one charger that you can buy, and then maybe the other one will be a reward. I'm not sure. It's not clear. We'll find out on Tuesday. Whatever. You can also get sweatsuits, which is great if your character wants to wear pajamas. So that's always really cool there. So July 2025 trading post. We have some of that information there. You know, I talk about the trading post because, like I said in the last bit about the loot event, transmog is the real end game. You want your character to look cool. And, you know, it's a joke that, transmog increases your DPS, blah, 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 whatever. But the reality is, you know, if you have your character and your character looks bad, especially in modern WoW, in Classic, we all expect our characters to look weird. But in modern WoW, if you have a character and your character looks bad, that doesn't feel good. You feel kind of lame. You feel kind of weak. I don't know. It's just, I guess it's just what it is. Maybe some people don't feel this way. I like my characters to look like they just came out of a fashion show. So that's just me. All right. Right? Let's move on to what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. This is the War Within Season 2, Week 17. Our affixes are +4 is Ascendant. 10 orbs appear every minute while in combat that must be interrupted, purged, knocked, or crowd controlled. And the +7 affix is Tyrannical. You know it, you hate it, you hate to see it. Bosses have 25% more health and deal 15% more damage. So for Ascendant, it one's pretty easy. Just have some sort of stun, knockback, interrupt, something kind of like on the Razagath fight in Dragonflight. So you just make sure you spec that on your character. It's pretty easy to deal with. It just takes one global cooldown for the most part for everybody. In some cases, you can even group them up and have one person just interrupt all of them, which is really nice. So that's pretty easy. And then Tyrannical, you know that. It's what it is. The bonus event this week is Miss Pandaria Time Walking. Like I said, this one's really easy. This one's really fun. Miss Pandaria reputation gains from combat and quests increased by 50%. You can pick up the quest A Shrouded Path Through Time from Archivist for the Rune in Dornegal to defeat 5 time walking dungeons. And since it's part of the Turbulent Timeways, you will be rewarded with a hero track raid item. So that's really cool. The dungeons are Gate of the Setting Sun, Mogusham Palace, Scholomance, Shadowpan Monastery, Stormstout Brewery, and Temple of the Jade Serpent. You know, by the time you listen to this event's almost going to be over, but you still have a day or two to knock it out. So if you've been playing Classic, if you've just been doing other stuff because it's summertime and the weather's nice out, you can go knock those out real quick. The other bonus event, because we are doing Turbulent Timeways, so you have your normal schedule, and then when it's Time Walking started, it'll just be Time Walking. So this week is the War Within Dungeon event. So this is the doing mythic or heroic dungeons. So you'll get the Sign of the Warrior buff, which will add a extra drop item to the final boss of each the War Within dungeon. It doesn't work for Mythic Plus, as I've pointed out before, but it does work for Mythic 0 and Heroic. So if those are the ones that you're running, that's cool. If you're doing Mythic Plus, this is pretty much a non-event for you. Although you do get a quest, which is Emissary of War, and that is to complete 4 dungeons on Mythic difficulty, and you can get a cache of heroic Liberation of Undermined gear as a reward. So there you go. That's your bonus events for the week. The PvP brawl this week is Packed House. We've put more PvP in your PvP. In Packed House, there's nowhere to hide as you face not 2, not 3, not 5, but 15 adversaries in this 15v15 arena battle. When you join, you're going to get the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and you'll be rewarded with Conquest, Honor, and Marks of Honor. So there you go. That's your events for the week. Fire Festival is still continuing if you are doing that, and we're going to get, so it's not this week, next week we'll get the Dark Moon Fair. So no Dark Moon Fair this week, so it's just the basic events. So there you go. That's what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. Lots of fun, lots of things to do. Check out the Fire Festival. It's a good time. It's a lot of fun. Especially if you have an alts and you don't feel like doing lore walking. That's a great way to level up your alts. So, all right. We're going to move on to the main topic now. And as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be very spoiler heavy. So at this point, if you do not want to be spoiled, and I will say this again after the intro, but if you don't want to be spoiled, don't listen to this segment, okay? I hate saying don't listen to my show, but I don't want to dance around some of these topics. I want to be able to just have a full discussion and say, here's what's going on. So if you don't want to be spoiled, don't listen to the next segment. If you don't care or you already know what's going on, please feel free to jump in. All right.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
Okay, so if you're still here, just a reminder, this is going to be a very spoiler-centric discussion. So if you are not interested in hearing spoilers about the upcoming patch 11.2 content, go ahead and turn this part off. I don't want to dance around spoilers, and I want to be able to have a conversation and a discussion about this without having to dance around certain key elements of it. So this is just going to be very spoiler heavy, and maybe no one will listen to this because nobody wants to hear spoilers. I feel like this information is pretty readily out there, but anyway, we'll see. We're trying something different here, folks. All right, gonna give a few seconds for people to click away if they or tap away if they're on their phones. All right, in patch 11.2, let's just jump right out and say it. We are going to ally with Xal'atath. I fucking knew it. Going into this patch, I was like, look, there's no way that Blizzard has done all this work with Xal'atath only for her to get defeated by the Ethereals and the Goblins, honestly, in some cases, and then just sulk away. She's going to do something. And obviously, she doesn't want the Ethereals to have the Dark Heart, so she's got to be the one that has it. And whatever her scheme is, involves her being the powerful one, not Dimensius. So there's a whole conversation about how Xal'atath is Dimensius' Silver Surfer. If Dimensius is Galactus, then Xal'atath is the Silver Surfer. She goes and she finds the worlds for him to conquer. That's a possibility. What we've learned in patch 11.2, we've learned a few things. We learned, one, Xal'atath was once a mortal who was changed by Dimensius into what she is now. And again, the Silver Surfer. If you're not familiar with the Silver Surfer and Fantastic Four comic books and all that stuff, basically the Silver Surfer goes and he finds worlds for Galactus, or they find worlds for Galactus to consume, and Galactus comes and he's a big giant monster that eats worlds because he's hungry, and the Silver Surfer finds them. If there's people on those worlds, then the Silver Surfer will basically say, hey, too bad you guys are screwed, you're gonna get eaten, and so don't try to resist. And in the original run of the comic books, Galactus was unbeatable. The Fantastic Four could not defeat him, and so the Watcher, if you're familiar with What If, the Watcher Uatu, he helped the Fantastic Four. He broke his oath. He helped the Fantastic Four by sending Johnny across the universe to find the ultimate nullifier, which scared Galactus so bad he agreed to back down from Earth and go find another planet to consume. So, but they couldn't beat him with force. And I think that's what we're going to end up having this situation with Dimensius, where we're not going to be able to just punch him into submission, right? We defeated him in Outland, but that was a shard of Dimensius. What we've learned now is that the Ethereals have been trying to track down these shards, the Void Ethereals have been trying to track down these shards. Now, what their motivation is for resurrecting Dimensius, we're not sure yet, because that's probably going to be revealed during the raid, and some of the cutscenes that we haven't seen yet. But they are trying to resurrect him. The Nexus King Saladar, who we defeated in Outland as well in the Burning Crusade, he's back. He's been resurrected as well. So it's basically, if you did all of the Netherstorm campaign back in the Burning Crusade, or you went back and you did it while you were leveling or at some point, and you know this, cool. If you haven't done it yet, just go do the lore walking. That'll be good enough for you to understand the basics of what's going on. I haven't finished the lore walking campaign because, as I mentioned, my hunter is now unable to complete it, but you get the idea. Basically the Ethereals are trying to resurrect Dimensius for reasons. Now, Xal'atath wants the Darkheart for herself. My suspicion, or my guess, is that she wants to consume the... she wants to be able to consume the World Soul, but she can't. And she needs the power contained in the Darkheart to be able to do that, which is why she was trying to use Beladar to enhance her power. But when Ilaria shot the Darkheart out of her hand and broke it, that ruined her plans, and then she couldn't do that. That would have been where we lost. I believe that would have been the moment that we lost the fight with Xal'atath, but Ilaria basically saved us. So thanks, Ilaria. And I thought for sure Ilaria would be a boss in this expansion. Maybe next expansion she'll be a Void boss or something. Void Ilaria. But anyway, so Xal'atath is our ally. One of the other interesting things that we learned during the 11.2 campaign is that the World Soul of Karesh was not actually consumed. The Ethereals destroyed their planet themselves to basically... They were able to destroy their planet and break Dimensius up into multiple shards so that he would not consume their World Soul. So their World Soul is actually alive. And I think that what's going to happen is that some Ethereals want to finish the job, I guess, or maybe they think they're going to have their World Soul wake up and fight off Dimensius. I don't know what their motivation is, but the Ethereal World Soul is alive. Dimensius wants to finish it off, and then he's going to want to eat Azeroth. So this is what we're getting into. So how is this going to lead us into midnight? Well, a couple of things. I think we're going to fight Dimensius. There is no evidence to say that we're going to defeat Dimensius, that we're going to kill him. We might beat him in battle, but we might not destroy him. We might not finish him off. He might finish off what he's doing, and then he leaves or whatever. Just because he's the final boss does not mean he's going to die, is what I'm saying. Jaina was the final boss of Desire Lore, and she didn't die, obviously. So, we have to think these things through with a little bit of logic and a little bit of wild speculation and go, okay, so maybe Dimensius is not going to be gone after this. Fine. And then you go, all right, well, maybe the Ethereals themselves are not going to succeed in their plan to resurrect Dimensius. Maybe he's only a portion of his strength, or maybe something. Maybe Xal'atath comes in and helps us. She uses her power to weaken him, and we're able to defeat him. Ultimately, her goal is to get what the Ethereals have, which is the Darkheart. And she knows she can't get that on her own, so she needs our help. And so during the storyline, Locust Walker's like, oh, I've got someone who's going to help us. Xal'atath walks through the portal. Ilaria's pissed. And this is what we all knew was going to happen, that Xal'atath was going to show up and be like, I'm here to help you now. And we all know she's going to betray us. She knows we know that she's going to betray us, but we need to work together at this moment in time. And I think we all are kind of hoping that we think we have the upper hand at one moment or another. And that's how this type of story goes. And that's fine. So anyway, Xal'atath is our helper for patch 11.2. This means that 1, Xal'atath will still be alive in midnight. Dimensius also might still be alive in midnight. He might not even be there. He might be we might send him through a void portal or something that causes him to go away, and he's no longer a threat to us. That doesn't mean we've killed him. It just means that we've reduced the threat of Dimensius on Azeroth. There's a few ways that can go. I don't think anyone's going to die in this fight. There was some speculation that, is Ilaria going to die? Is Thralian going to sacrifice himself to save Ilaria? Is Xal'atath going to... I don't think anyone's going to die. I think that this battle is ultimately going to be fruitless. And I said this last week, that I don't think we're going to lose. I still don't think we're going to lose. I think we're going to save Azeroth, and maybe we'll even save Karesh's World Soul. But I don't think any of our threats will truly be neutralized. Maybe Dimensius as a threat will be neutralized. Maybe Xal'atath will use the power of the Darkheart, and she'll go to Silvermoon to take the power from the Sunwell, and that's how she's going to power up enough to consume Azeroth, if that's her goal. But the fact that Xal'atath was once mortal is also really interesting to me, and I'm not sure how that's going to play into the storyline. Don't forget, we still have 2 patches worth of storyline that are going to come out after the raid. And the Echodome Aldani dungeon takes place after the raid. So canonically, there will be the raid and whatever it is that we do there, and then we'll go into this dungeon and do stuff there. So it's not like we're all going to be crying because Azeroth was destroyed and what do we do? No, we're going to do what we need to do. We're going to win. We're going to defeat Dimensius, but we won't kill him. I don't think we will. The other thing to consider is that Blizzard have billed Midnight as the ultimate battle between the light and the void. And so obviously the great manifestation of the void is Dimensius. Xal'atath is, I think, trying to become like Dimensius. I think she's trying to become that powerful. So it could be Xal'atath takes over that mantle of the most powerful void being. It also could be that she ends up controlling Dimensius somehow, and gets him into some sort of situation where he's her mindless pet. As far as the light side of things, obviously you've got the Ilaria-Tyrellian relationship that's going to be the kind of, between those two, here's what we're dealing with, right? So you have the bigger conflict and then the relationship conflict between the two. You have Eretor, who's their son, who's going to be split between the two of them. But there's got to be some sort of a light champion. Now, is that going to be one of the player characters? I don't know. Are we going to get some Naru to show up? Maybe the Naru will fight with Xal'atath. I'm not sure. Maybe a Naru will get kind of like a Blood Elf appearance, and her and Xal'atath can fight it out. I don't know. But regardless of what ends up happening, Midnight itself is the whole point is to set up the last Titan. So if we fight against, if we're fighting the light and the void, so maybe one raid is the void, one raid is the light, and then the final raid is kind of putting everything together, or the Titans are showing up and we're trying to stop them. That's where we're going to lose. We are trying to stop the Titans from coming back to Azeroth. If you remember, in Ulduar, we went into Ulduar, and if you did the heroic mode boss, you remember that his whole point was he was going to re-originate the planet, which is basically wipe out all life and start over. So because it was like, well, there's a lot of problems here, we can't have this, so we got to start over. We stopped him and prevented him from doing his business. We didn't kill him. We didn't kill Algalon. We stopped him, and then he bounced, and so that's where we were left. So again, we could be in a situation where he now comes back with the Titans in full tow and goes, see, I told you. They can't control themselves. Look what's happening. Or something. I don't know. It could be that there's a fight where, we resurrected Tyr, and maybe he decides, you know what, this place sucks. Or maybe Odin shows up and he's a dick like normal. There's some way that they're going to summon the Titans in, and that's what's going to kick off the last Titan. So, I don't want to do too far into the prediction zone because it's like, who knows at a certain point. But if you just think about what's going on with the current patch with Xal'atath, with Dimensius, with us working with Xal'atath, Okay, she's going to give us quests. She's going to have us do things that we don't want to do because it's Xalatath, and all of the waifu nerd guys that are like, oh, I'll do anything Xalatath says. Yes, I know, but as a player character, right? Your player character, if you look at your character from an RP standpoint, they do not want to do anything that Xalatath says because they hate her so much, right? So, yes, you might like her because she's got this sexy undead elf corpse body. That's great for you, but the reality is we don't want to help Xalatath. We need Xalatath's help, but we don't want to do anything for her. We don't actually want her help, but we need her help. So where the story goes from here, I'm not sure. Not everything is playable on the PTR, and certainly the cinematics are not available on the PTR, but it's interesting to think about what did Blizzard plan this from the beginning? Because there's the whole conversation about how the original World Soul Saga was actually one expansion. The War Within was, you start off with going to Khazalgar, and then we go to Silvermoon, and then we go to Northrend. That was the original plan. And Chris Metzen said, no, let's break this out over 3 expansions. So they're putting in filler content. So was there originally a plan that Xalatath, we were going to work with her? That's probably something that was added in later. And it's probably something that Blizzard added in when everyone was like, oh my gosh, look how hot Xalatath is. And they were like, oh yeah, let's make her available for, whatever purposes. So yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. The whole thing is weird. I think, first of all, lusting after Xalatath, I know a lot of people do it as a joke, but a lot of people are taking it seriously, and it's like, you guys need to stop. That's weird. And then, this whole idea of, working with our enemy, it's like such an old trope, right? I get it. It works. It's an old trope because it works, and it's something that we've seen countless times in different movies and TV shows and video games and whatnot. So, the real question is, and the thing that we don't know is, how will Xalatath betray us? How is she ultimately going to go, aha, I tricked you into doing my bidding, and now I have the power that I need, blah, 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 whatever. I don't know. Maybe we'll defeat Dimensius, and he leaves, but he leaves behind a shard of himself, and that's Xalatath claims that as her prize, and then she uses that to power up, and now she's, powerful enough to consume a world. So I don't know. There could be a lot of things that are that happen here, but the reason that I wanted to do this and that I wanted to have this be a spoiler zone is because we have so much story in World of Warcraft, and there's been a lot of conversation about the different story angles that Blizzard has taken over the years, and this is bad storytelling and this is good storytelling. And I can look at different things and recognize the storytelling from my own standpoint. I will say that this type of storytelling is where Blizzard does their best work. It doesn't need to be subtle. It doesn't need to be clever. People have complained about some of the dialogue in the recent storylines. It's like, Blizzard's not writing Academy Award winning scripts here, people. This is a video game. It should be pretty simple and basic, and the characters are all archetypes, so they should all talk in a similar way. I don't expect anything like extraordinary out of any of this stuff, right? Expect it to be a video game. And while, sometimes video games have really good writing, that's true. But I never expect a video game to have amazing writing, because honestly, they don't. By and large, they don't. If you expect them to, you're going to be disappointed. So, I mean, I don't know. I was just watching the Discordian Kitty video about the Rise of the Red Dawn questline in the Legacy of Azeroth update that just came out a couple weeks ago. And she was talking about Denethar Trollbane and how his character has changed over the years. And it's like, first of all, people change. People change, and as you get older, and I think a lot of younger people have a hard time understanding this, when you get older, you start to look at things differently. And somebody like Denethar Trollbane, who's been a soldier and a warrior his whole life and been fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, he's tired. He's tired of fighting. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He just wants peace. He probably wants to go plant a garden somewhere. People saying, oh, well, this person was a soldier, they were a warrior, why would they suddenly change? People change. They get tired. Look at Sourfang's characterization in Battle for Azeroth. He wasn't fighting because he was a warmonger. He was fighting because, one, he was fighting for his people. And two, he was fought for something he believed in. He felt like he needed to take a stand against Sylvanas. If he hadn't done that, he wouldn't have been able to live with himself. And so he did it. And he sacrificed his life for those ideals. But if he had had the choice, he probably would have just gone and made a farm somewhere, like Thrall did. So, yeah, people change and people get tired. Nobody wants to war constantly. If we had had an old man Garrosh sitting around, he probably would have lamented about how he was so warlike in his youth and how he wishes he could just have peace. But we didn't get that. Garrosh died young because he was too hot-headed. So is the writing for Midnight going to be amazing? Oh my gosh, this story is so good. I can't believe it. No. Don't expect it to be amazing writing. Expect it to be good storytelling. And that's the difference. We have to look at it from the standpoint of, is this good storytelling? Yes. Okay. Is it good writing? No, probably not. Is Xal'atath going to have some cheesy voice lines? Yes. Yes, she is. Is there going to be some cinematics where they show her feet? Yes, there probably will be. Unfortunately. Because people are weird. Thanks, internet. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, I really like where Blizzard has taken the story. I like the entire storyline of The War Within so far. I think it's a really well done story, and not just the main story, but some of the side components, some of the, like the level up campaign when you're helping the Earthen to become independent from the Titans, and just some of the quest lines that we've had to go do. I mean, this Legacy of Earthar quest line, the Rise of the Red Dawn, I thought it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. I know a lot of people didn't, and probably a lot of young people. I'm sure some older people didn't like it, but I'm saying this from experience. As you get older, most people tend to cool down some of their more aggressive tendencies. That's just the way it goes. You get tired. You're tired of fighting. And especially for someone like Denethar, who's been fighting his whole life, he's tired. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He wants to go relax. Put his feet up. You know, have his young queen come in and get some hanky-panky time or something. I don't know. So anyway, where's the story going to go from here? I don't know, but I'm very excited to see what happens in the end of The War Within, because like I said, we do have 2 more story patches that are going to come after 11.2. At least 2. Blizzard might surprise us with an extra one. Who knows? And are we going to get some ultra reveal, like mind-boggling unveiling of information? Maybe we will. Maybe we'll learn something new that we hadn't even thought about before, that Blizzard has been holding on to. That would be cool. I'd be fine with that. But I don't necessarily need there to be a award-winning script in behind it. I just tell a good story. That's it. That's what I want out of World of Warcraft. I want good storytelling, and I want good gameplay. Is that too much to ask? Am I being unreasonable by asking for these things? Because I don't think I am. But maybe I am. Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I don't understand. Oh, you just don't get it because you're old. You just don't understand how it works. So you know what? Maybe so. I was a lot more interested in war when I was younger. I'll tell you that, though. I thought it was a lot cooler than I do now. Now I look at it and I go, this is terrible. Why is everybody fighting? I don't know. Yeah, and then Xal'atath as a villain, I feel like she will either be the final boss of Midnight, or she will continue on throughout the entirety of the World Soul Saga in some capacity. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. For them to continue building her up as this villain that I feel like, we've had some big monster type villains in the past. She's the genius villain. So in comic books, there's the I think this was in, I don't know if this was in M. Night Shyamalan movie with Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson. I don't know which movie it was or if I read it somewhere, but there's 2 types of villains in comic books. You have the big, strong monster villain, and then you have the clever thinking villain who comes up with plans and strategies to defeat the hero. And Xal'atath is definitely the clever one. She's like Lex Luthor. She's like the Joker in a lot of ways, where they're not going to defeat Batman or Superman through force. They're going to defeat these heroes through cleverness and strategy. That's their goal. And so Xal'atath I don't think she's going to defeat us through force, and I think she knows that. I think she's going to defeat us through cleverness and strategy. And I hope Blizzard doesn't play the, oh my gosh, we were too stupid to know what was going on the whole time. I hope that they stick with this whole, yeah, we knew she was going to betray us. Because that's kind of what they're hinting at with the 11.2 PTR, but, we'll see what the cinematics unveil. We'll see what the post-raid story looks like. We'll get more information as we go, but I'm really hoping that Blizzard doesn't treat us like we're stupid like they did back in Battle for Azeroth. I hated that so much. So anyway, that's really all I wanted to say about that. It's more of a discussion about Xal'atath being our helper in 11.2 and what that means for the continuation of the storyline. We'll see. I'm suspecting that this patch is probably going to show up sometime around the beginning of August. We could even see it as early as, like, say, August 16th, I would speculate. The Turbulent Timeways is going to end on August 8th. So we could see it on August 9th, and then the raid launches on the 16th. That might also be something that Blizzard really wants, because I don't think that Blizzard is going to want to have the Race to World First going while they're at Gamescom. I think they would rather have the Race to World First be over before Gamescom goes, or they will launch the patch the week after Gamescom. And then, so if Gamescom starts on the 20th and ends on the 24th of August, so if you have the patch launch on, say, the 19th, then that week, while everyone's at Gamescom, is the pre-raid week where everyone's getting ready. You can run heroic dungeons, mythic zeros, no raid, no mythic plus. Then starting on the 26th of August, we'll get the raid, we'll get the Race to World First, we'll get mythic plus, and we'll have all the reveals from midnight. So I don't know, it could go either way, but I suspect that if they have a big story beat that we're going to want to know going into midnight, then then everything is probably going to happen the week before. So we could even see the patch as early as the week of the 5th. Sorry, I said the 6th or the 9th. It's the 5th of August. 5th of August, patch release. 12th of August, raid released. Hopefully, Race to World First over before the announcement at Gamescom. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Blizzard has in mind, because honestly, that's a tight timeline. And the hope that the raid's not too difficult for people to get it done before Gamescom and the midnight reveal that's coming. So we'll see. All right. I think that's going to wrap up our show for today. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to get on this microphone and speak to you. For those of you watching on YouTube, I once again apologize for not having video. I had some difficulties with my technical gear today, and so I decided to just do an audio recording, and you get this lovely little imagery that's showing up on the on the screen, but not my face, so maybe that's a good thing for you. I don't know. If you're enjoying the show and you would like to help us out, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That definitely helps out the distribution for the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you can give us a like and a subscribe. That would help us out there as well. If you want to do something more, you could consider joining our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Azeroth United. We have several different patron tiers, starting with a free tier, and then you're going all the way up to our friend of the show patrons. Our friend of the show patrons are Judge Omni, Stug Life, Thelial, and Greybeard. Thank you all so much. You definitely help make Azeroth United possible. And if you want to join, go ahead and jump on in. There's not a lot actually going on in the Patreon right now. I have some bonus content that I'm working on right now that I'm planning to upload in the next couple of weeks. But there's only a little bit of stuff on there right now. So, if you don't want to help, that's fine. Or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say it that way. If you are not interested in donating money for whatever reason, and I understand that completely, don't worry about it. You can join the Patreon for free, or you can just, put a comment on YouTube, put a comment on Spotify, whatever you want to do. Any sort of engagement really helps out. So if you are so inclined, I would be very grateful. If you want to get a hold of me directly, you can reach me on Twitter. I am at Denethar on that platform. You can also reach me on Blue Sky. I'm at Denethar there as well. However, I don't really check that one very often. If you want to get a hold of any of the podcast links, you can check out our website. It's AzerothUnitedPod.com. That has all of our links, including our Discord, our Patreon, all that stuff. And so there you go. So I think that's going to wrap it up for everything. So thank you again for listening. I really do appreciate it. Remember to be good to each other out there. That's a real life person on the other side of that keyboard, and maybe they really like Xalantath and you don't, and you think she's just a terrible person, and they're in love with her because they think she's super hot. And that's okay. You can just kind of roll your eyes and smile and say, okay, buddy, you're all good. And just go do a quest or a Mythic Plus or something together. All right. Okay, take care. I love you all, and I'll see you in Azeroth.